a sudden there's banging on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Security and the police, take your time hiding the drugs. Hurry up, just open the door. And I'm like, what do we do? Like, I opened the curtain to the window to see if there's a balcony, to see if I could jump down.
I am comfortable in front of the camera. I am comfortable in front of the camera. I am myself in front of the camera. I am myself in front of the camera.
Underdogs, misfits, degenerates, people who don't belong, people who will never belong. I see you. Special shout out to all the current and former party boys. This is for you, baby. What's good? I am, whatever my name is, whatever you want to call me, whatever you see me as, perhaps a conduit for transmitting bleak and somber tales from an apocalyptic human experience.
The eyes, the ears, the mouth of God.
Baby.
Or maybe just a little gay boy with an attitude problem.
Actually, you can call me Goose, and you'll see why. My brand promise, real, raw, messy, amateur. Okay, in this little video, on this little YouTube channel, we're talking about a little issue that unapologetically derailed my entire trajectory in life and ultimately led me to sit in front of this iPhone 12 Pro.
That got me all the way fucked up talking about there's no more space. How if it's brand new? The fuck?
To talk to you all. The reason people keep using hard drugs is because they are in great pain and lacking love, support, and real intimacy. This was definitely the case for me. My reason was I had a lot of idle time and anxiety due to the arduous process of waiting for my papers. And on top of that, the insidious thoughts of, I don't have a boyfriend, what is wrong with me? I hate my life, I hate myself. If I had had a healthy relationship, I would not have strayed so far away. Also, Grindr is the
Devil.
and the grand central station of crystal meth. I don't want to pretend like I'm a scholar or an avid researcher, because that should be glaringly obvious.
Ain't nobody go to college over here.
I just critically overthink my experiences, and then I'll read an article or two to solidify my perspective and what I've learned on my own. I am the unrivaled expert of my experience, so that's what I mainly talk about and speak from.
This yellow doorknob is giving white refrigerator.
I came across something in my little research or whatever called multiple minority stress theory. It made sense to me, and basically it says,
Minority stress is unique because it is not a stressor that is experienced by everyone. It's chronic because it remains a relatively stable presence in someone's life due to underlying social and cultural structures. For individuals living in a racist, sexist, heterosexist, or cis-sexist society, there is little room for escape from that situation. It's socially based in that it is about more than individuals, rather than from institutions and structures beyond the individual events or conditions that characterize general stressors.
oh hell no, hold on, the battery died, never mind.
So the minority stress model illustrates that social conditions characterized by prejudice and stigma predispose marginalized individuals to greater exposure to stress compared with individuals who are not members of the marginalized communities. In turn, the excess exposure to stress can cause adverse health outcomes.
I'm assuming mental, right? A lot of mental health.
Research continues to indicate that building coping skills and social support, along with other forms of resilience, can counteract the impact of stress and lead to outcomes that support a patient's health.
Definitely. Like if I had support and coping mechanisms to deal with all the stress that I had, I think it would have been, would have gone different. So listen, right? When I was 22, I had to get married for papers, but I had a very different idea of how I wanted my life to go. I was talented, bright, attractive, intelligent, funny, animated, and emotionally intelligent.
So not too much has really changed, you feel me?
My realistic goal was to be a teacher, but I wanted to be a singer, dancer, actor, some kind of performer. And I would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for those pesky meddling immigration laws. I was a triple threat, quadruple even. Let me show you this adorable little picture that I came across on one of my internets. So I'm the goose, but picture the goose with shackles that was holding him down, but the shackles weren't actually locked. All you had to do was look. If I had papers, I would have been just like every other basic kid, and I would have gone to college because that's what my older cousins did. That's what I saw. That was the example. If I were at college, of course I would have experimented with drugs, I'm sure, like every other person, but I was constrained within limits with a goal. right? Worst case scenario, I would drop out to pursue an entertainment career. But I would have like already a trajectory that I'm following. Because I was kind of in limbo, waiting, I had a lot of extra idle time to do whatever, to be curious. So keep in mind that eventually I literally hated myself. I hated the fuck out of myself. And I did everything I could do to fuck myself up, to ruin, to self-sabotage. And I got really creative and evil with it. So let the story begin. This is how it started. So shortly after I got married, I was working at a gay resort in New Jersey, which was right on the beach. Best job ever. It was my first bartending job. And then eventually I moved to the hotel side. And I was working overnight in the hotel. It was a Thursday night, Latin night. There was a dancer, a go-go boy, who came to the front desk and he wanted a room. He's with somebody else and they go upstairs. And I don't know if I was horny or I just was curious or fascinated by what they were gonna do, or I wanted to hear them have sex or something. After they were in the room, I went up and I listened outside the door just to see what I can hear. And I'm expecting to hear, I don't know, moans or something. And all I can hear is just like bickering, what sounded like arguing, like, oh, I heard, oh, it's not lit. Why are they just talking? Like, didn't they get a hotel room to do the do? And I was like, that's weird. And they come downstairs. So this person, we'll just call him Cody. He looks a little weathered, but he's attractive. And he comes down and he does a double take. And he goes, oh, I'm gonna be back to talk to you. And unfortunately, he came back after he dropped the other person off at the train station. We started talking, we went across the street, hung out at the beach, and kissed. And I thought he was really cool. He was smooth talking, he had swag, he smelled really good. He was Middle Eastern, he was bald. We traded numbers and we would talk. Rewind to the day I got married. That night, I tried cocaine for the first time. I was working overnight at the hotel again and somebody offered and I was like, sure. I was already kind of like high from the events of the day. So one night I go out to eat with Cody and he asks me, do you do drugs? And I go, no. And he was like, okay. And then I was like, well, I did try cocaine once. And then he was like, oh, so you did. So you did do it. So you're cool with it. I was like, I mean, I don't know. I just tried it once. Then he reveals to me that he likes to smoke Tina, and I don't know what that is. And then he tells me, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. He was a drug addict. He was a straight up regular meth user. He told me that he would go to Jersey City to get it. He would always ask me if I would go to Jersey City with him, and I was like, no. But then eventually I'm like, sure, why not? Oh my God. I was so young. The whole situation, the whole relationship was toxic and weird, and I was vulnerable. I fell prey to things that happen to people with my circumstances. So I go to Jersey City with him, and my God, the apartment was a hoarder house. Just lamps, dressers, chairs, vacuum cleaners, anything that they found off the street, like to, I don't know, boost, redo, whatever. There was like one path that led through the living room into upstairs, and so it was dark, it was dingy, it was a crack house, it was a crack den completely. There was always like 4 guys there. The main person who lived there was always naked with a towel around him in the dark corner of a computer with porn on every single time, the whole time. Just watching porn and jerking off and carrying on as if usual, as if nothing. Then the second roommate was a tall, very attractive Afro-Latino Puerto Rican man. Really cool, I liked him. But you could tell he was weathered, like Cody, you know, like the sunken in lines, and handsome, but, you know, he had a boyfriend, quiet, shy, just kind of just went along with everything. Then there was a little poppy type, masculine, short kid who would smoke with them too. why was I there? I don't know. I would just look around and I would just like be like, why am I here? This is so strange. And they would try to get me to smoke. And I was adamant about like, no, I'm not gonna try it. No, why not? You know, just try it once. I was like, no, because I'm scared I'm gonna like it. It carried on that way for a few months. He would buy some, he would smoke in front of me, and I would see just the complete night and day of just like anxious, like nervous, and then just completely calm and smooth and talking and happy. And oh my God, like I just saw it in front of my eyes. One time somebody blew a cloud of smoke in my face, and I tell you, that was the only time ever that I remember there being a lapse in time. Like, they blew it in my face, I blinked, blackout, and I don't know how 15 seconds go by, 30 seconds, a minute, I open my eyes and they're all just laughing. Like, I lost consciousness for a little bit and I was very aware of it. I guess that was dissociation. I think while they were blowing in my face, I was so terrified that I just like blacked out. And I was like, what happened? And they were like, oh, you probably just got contact high. The handsome, tall Puerto Rican guy was like, Tina is crazy. Don't fuck with her. Just once in a blue moon. Like, just do it once in a blue moon and you'll be okay. My God. A part of this is also because I never had a group of friends. I was just in need of a social situation. I think part of the reason also was because I grew up in the suburbs of New Jersey. Had I been more integrated, where there was more people like me in a closer vicinity, I would have developed a community. But because I was so alone, I just kind of fell into the first place that I felt accepted in. So I didn't do drugs with them until we all go to a circuit party together. They get ecstasy pills. I take it and I'm waiting and waiting and I don't feel anything. And an hour goes by and I'm like, I don't feel anything. And they were like, just wait, just don't think about it, just dance and wait. And I'm dancing and suddenly like a wave of immense pleasure and euphoria washes over me. And I turn around and then I'm like, oh, I see, I get it. And now it was extremely fun. The music was amazing. I remember just being so happy. Obviously it was drugs. That was the moment that I became a drug user, because after that I would buy cocaine. I would go out to a club. It would always be like finding a pill. Then I learned about GHB, K, ketamine, and just going out and doing these things. Because I didn't really have a clear future in front of me, it was so uncertain. I was just like, well, yeah, what I'm here to do is just to have fun and to enjoy. The relationship with Cody was abusive, complaining about his ex and how horrible things were. I would try to cheer him up. I would try to like talk positive, and just using up all my energy he was an energy vampire, it seemed like. And every little thing that I said, he would nitpick or he would disagree with or like shame me. And it was crazy. It was a very abusive relationship. One day, we're in Jersey City again, and somehow he convinces me to try it. And I was like, okay, but just one puff. Because it was just a clear happiness. We went to Fridays after that. I was talking to people around me, initiating conversation, and that's not something that I usually do. And I was like, oh, well, this is fun, this is cool. So I go home and I go to sleep, and that's it, right? I try to go to sleep, I close my eyes, and I can hear and feel my heart pounding out of my chest. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh shit, oh no. I'm not gonna be able to sleep, am I? Like, I wanna sleep. I was terrified, like, oh my God, am I gonna be addicted? Like, what is this? And I remember writing in my journal, you are going to be okay. That was February 2010. And after that, I would occasionally do coke, but in my mind, I was like, as long as I don't do crystal meth, then it's not too bad. For about a year and a half, I didn't use at all until I moved to Florida. I started repeating the same pattern of behavior. I would go to a crack den and hang out with, oh my God, it's so scary. The sketchiest person, the sketchiest dude ever. And same thing, he would offer me and I would be like, no, I don't want to, I don't do it, it's fine. I'm scared I'm gonna like it. I guess I was familiar with that dark atmosphere. I eventually gave in to peer pressure and I did it. And it was the first time that I actually did a few puffs and I was like, oh, wow, I get it. I get why people like it. It was just an intense feeling of euphoria, happiness, and extreme horniness. Like, it was a feeling that was unfamiliar to me. I call it artificial intimacy. It was just a feeling of being able to be naked with somebody and just like, yeah, we connect, we're one, you know, goodness. To me, it was never actually fully about the drug. It was about the feeling of intimacy that I got from it, the artificial intimacy that I had never experienced because I was lacking in affection, love, touch. I worked at a hotel and my manager, Caribbean woman, was very caring, and she asked me how I was doing once, and she put her hand on my arm and did a little like that, and my entire body just got goosebumps and it felt so good, and I was just like, oh my God, that feels so good. That's like love, affection, and it just goes to show you that I was completely starved for that kind of touch. So I was in need of that. I was susceptible to drug abuse. So after that, I would do it occasionally, and I bought it one time. There was one time and one time only that I ever purchased crystal meth and a pipe, and I smoked a little bit out of it. And that night, I go to a hotel to meet up with people. Girl, okay? This is crazy, right? So it was like 3 a.m, and I drive to the hotel. And as I'm pulling in, there is an ambulance in front of the hotel, lights going off and shit, and something in me tells me turn around right now. My instinct was like, leave. And what do? I don't leave. I go against my higher self and my instinct, and I stay, and I go and I meet up with the person who's in the front, and I was like, should we like leave? Like, this doesn't seem safe because there's an ambulance here. He's like, no, it'll be fine. And so we go upstairs, and there's somebody passed out in the bed, and he sits down and he takes out the pipe, and all of a sudden there's banging on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Security, open up. And I'm like, boom, boom, boom. Security and the police too, open up. Take your time hiding the drugs. Hurry up, just open the door. And I'm like, I panic and I'm like, what are we gonna do? What do we do? Like, I look, I open the curtain to the window to see if there's a balcony to see if I could jump down. And that wraps up part 1. I will finish telling the rest of the story in part 2, and then finish what happened after like the 10 years of crystal meth use. This was a lot. I'm gonna take a break, and then I'll come back to record part 2.